loves. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Chats, a series of alternative perspectives. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who contributed to last week's episode in the comments. Greatly appreciated. As normal, I've selected 2, and here they are. This comment is from Kim Coates 7569, who says, "It was brave for Harry to tell the story of disrespecting Meghan. She had to calmly check him, but I bet she already had one foot out the door. If he didn't get professional help, she made it clear that a relationship with her was impossible. By the way, did you also notice that Harry said he heard others in his life speak that way? I wonder whom." This comment comes from Sonia Clark-IY1LG, who says, "Thank you much for bringing these live and lived situations. I hope those of us who have not experienced such will take note and be ready to act accordingly." Next, I want you to share with me your beverage of choice today. I am actually drinking sparkling water. That's what I fancy today. Very boring, but very necessary. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about not fitting in. Last week, I received a DM on Instagram. Now, guys, before you all rush over there, let me just tell you, my Instagram is totally unimpressive, okay? I only post every Mindshift Monday. At the moment, that may change in the future, but that's what I'm doing at the moment. However, those posts seem to resonate with a few people, and the person who sent me this DM is one of them. She wishes to remain anonymous, so I am going to refer to her as Corinne. Corinne writes, "I hope it's okay to message you. I've been following your post for a while, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I should reach out, but here I am. I've struggled with social anxiety for as long as I can remember, and lately it feels like it's getting worse. I overthink every interaction, what I said, how I said it, whether people secretly think I'm weird. It's exhausting. I avoid group settings whenever I can, and even when I do go out, I feel like I don't belong. Being mixed race adds another layer to it. I always feel like I don't fit anywhere, like I'm too much of one thing or not enough of another. I catch myself code switching depending on who I'm around, but it just leaves me feeling even more disconnected from myself. I want to make friends. I want to feel comfortable in my own skin. I want to stop replaying every conversation in my head, like I just embarrassed myself, but I don't know how to break out of this cycle. Do you have any advice?" Now, I did message Corinne back just to get some more information to gain some context, and she informed me that she's in her mid-20s. She works, she's a professional. I'm not going to say what her profession is, but she does work, and she shares a flat with one of her friends. Well, not a close friend, but she shares a flat with someone she knows. I think I'll leave it there. I won't give any more information. That's just to give you a bit of context to who she is. Yeah, social anxiety. Social anxiety is something that I experienced in my teens and early 20s. I didn't know it was called that at the time. I don't remember things like this being talked about 35 years ago. There was no name given to these types of experiences, but yeah, I identify with that. I think that stemmed from me being a people pleaser during that period of my life. And as I approached my late 20s, it was yeah, it is very exhausting. I totally concur. Because you're unhappy. You're using all your energy to pretend to be someone, not pretend intentionally, but you just find yourself trying to emulate other people, take on other people's traits because you see that they fit in easily and you have a hard time gelling with other people. So I get it completely. That happened to me. So I do empathize with you, Corinne. When you talk about code switching, and I think it's necessary sometimes that we code switch, because the way that you speak to your close friends and family is definitely not the way that you would speak to your work colleagues or people you don't know. You automatically adopt a different way of speaking depending on whose company you're in at that time. So I get that. I think that's natural. Whether we realize it or not, I actually think that's normal. So I don't feel too bad about that. I suspect we all do that. Sometimes it's really funny. We're not conscious of it a lot of the time. So you say the added layer is you being mixed race. Right. My daughter is mixed heritage, okay? So again, identifying these things at an early stage, I had told her from when she was young that people will gravitate towards her and people will not like her simply because she is her. They will never have any explanation for that, and her only responsibility is to live her life and be very happy and confident in who she is, because that is the wrapping that she came in. And she's always been a confident child, because at the end of the day, she has to be comfortable living her life regardless of what other people's opinions may be. As I was reading Corinne's message, it reminded me of this episode on Meghan's Archetypes podcast when she was in conversation with Mariah Carey.
But the name Mariah Carey, it hasn't always been synonymous with extravagance. She grew up poor in a mixed-race family at a time when interracial marriages were pretty rare in the US. Her parents divorced when she was young. She moved around a lot. And our conversation begins with something that I can relate to: her constant struggle to find her place and to fit in.
And the truth is, guys, we all have insecurities about things we don't like about ourselves. You may not like the area you were raised in. You may not like the family you were born into. You may be totally dissatisfied with your current economic status. You're too pale, you're too dark, your hair's too curly, your hair's too straight. We never seem to be content with what we were born with. We're just never content. And I've spoken about this before, comparison. That is the killer for many people. And social media has exacerbated that, where we're looking at the person in these curated photos online and thinking, oh, I wish I could look like her. I wish I could look like him. I wish my stomach was so toned. I wish I had muscles like that. I wish my hair was like hers. I wish my eyes were the same colour as hers. I mean, the list is endless. And this is why many people suffer from not just social anxiety, but more profound degrees of anxiety leading to depression, derived from a lack of self-acceptance. Back in May 2023, I uploaded this 1-minute video in my YouTube Shorts playlist. I just found the idea behind it so fascinating. And this just emphasised the fact that you come in a bespoke package. No one thinks exactly the same as you. No one looks exactly the same as you. No one feels exactly the same as you. No one else has your exact way of doing things. Even identical twins are not exactly the same. It may not feel like it at the moment, but your uniqueness is actually your superpower. When you embrace that, when you accept that, when you're comfortable with that, when you're comfortable in your own skin, when you get comfortable with not fitting in, you will be very surprised at who notices that and who starts to gravitate towards you. Again, I have to refer to Meghan as an example because really, you can't ignore her. And the thing that always strikes me with regard to her and Harry's relationship is that Harry had the ideal person in his life when he had his previous girlfriends, but they did not measure up. They did not have the tenacity, the mental tenacity to deal with what comes with being Harry's other half. They were not up to the job. They were not willing to do that. Like when I say on paper they were perfect, because really that's what the royal family requires. You know, you guys already know what I mean. I don't want to really want to have to explain what I mean, but you get the gist. Meghan was the anomaly. In the documentary, in the Netflix documentary, she talks about when the Queen's previous advisor, can't remember her name, sort of warned Meghan, you know, people will look at you as this foreign organism and they won't know what to do with it. I've played you that clip in a previous video, but you understand what that means. But because Meghan is so confident in her skin, you think Harry didn't notice that? Because she was already accomplished, she had already attained these attributes that he was looking for. So it was just not externally, it was internally as well. Her personality, her mindset, everything that makes Meghan Meghan is what Harry was attracted to. So that would be my advice. Just get comfortable with not fitting in. It's hard. It's very, very hard. Very difficult. But once you do that, I believe wholeheartedly that things will start to change. That is my humble advice to lovely Corinne, who sent me this message. As I say, that's not her real name. She wishes to remain anonymous. But guys, what advice would you give to Corinne? I'm turning it over to you now. In your life, have you had periods where you've not felt part of the group? You've always felt the odd one out? Even at a later stage in life, do you still feel like that? What would your advice be to Corinne? Do you have children that are going through this phase right now? Are you happy to be by yourself? Are you happy not to engage in groups? What's your experience? If you wouldn't mind sharing, guys, I'd love you to put in the comments your advice, your experiences, what you've gone through. Because as other contributors have said over the last couple of weeks, they're happy to share because it could help someone else. And don't forget that I'll be selecting 2 of those comments to feature in the next episode or on the community tab. In the meantime, guys, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for meeting me for coffee today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall catch up again very soon.